on our mind all the time. Think of you all the time. Have your way with our life. We want to live for you. Only you. And only you. And only you. Just you. And just you. Yahuwah, just you. Only you. Just you. So we just give thanks. We just give thanks. Only you. Only you. Only you. Just you. Just you. Tuda Yahuwah. Crying out to you. We put it all on the line and surrender it all to you. There's no reason to be alive if it ain't to live for you. There's no reason to even live if it ain't for you. I don't even want to live if it ain't for you. I don't even want to see if it ain't for you. I don't even want to hope if it ain't in you. I don't even want to fight no more if it ain't fighting on my side. I don't even want to go on no more if I ain't going with you. We don't even want to work no more if it ain't for you. We don't even want to sing no more if it ain't for you, Yahuwah. We don't even want to seek no more if we won't find you. We don't even go on if we ain't walking with you. Thank you, Yahuwah. Thank you, Yahuwah. We don't even want to eat no more if it ain't for you. We don't even want to drink no more if it ain't from you. I don't even want to talk no more if it ain't to esteem you. I don't even have nothing to say but thank you. We don't even have anything to say but thank you. I don't know what else to say but thank you. Burning the midnight oil, anticipating our Creator to come. We give thanks. We give thanks. Thank you, Yahuwah. All flesh is grass, this too shall pass. All flesh is grass, this too shall pass. This flesh is merely grass, this too will pass. This too will pass. But those who do your will shall abide forever. But those who do your will shall abide forever. 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 We just give thanks. Burning the midnight oil, number 7. 7 is completion. So much in our life has completed its course. Many people who are in our life for a season, that season has been completed. And we give thanks for what we learned from those particular people, places, and things that are no longer with us. We thank you, Yahuwah, for those lessons. And we continue to esteem your name for the inseparable body of Yahusha that is together even until now and forevermore, as we rejoice in you. We will rejoice in you. We will rejoice in you. We will rejoice in you. burning the midnight oil. So completion. And we meditate on the finished work, Be comforted, knowing that he who started the great work in you shall bring it to completion. And know that Yahuwah finished the work before he even started it. That's why he's great. That's why we praise him. I said he finished the work before he started. One of our beloved sisters told me that a while ago, and I was just like, whoa. And I've never forgot that. He finished the work before he started it. Meditate on that. So let's do that from now on. When we go through these trials and tribulations, because they will come, they do come, they are here. Perilous times. And let's rejoice knowing, hey, this is already finished in Yahuwah's eye. This is look at your circumstance. Speak to your circumstance. Let your circumstance know. Yahuwah already conquered this. Yahuwah already spoke his promise over this situation. And this situation has no power over me. This situation has no power over my abundance. This situation has no power over my confidence. This situation has no power over my perfect shalom. Perfect shalom. Have they whose mind is stayed on you. Keep our mind on you. Yeah. So we're dwelling in the secret place. Under your shadow. Dwelling under your shadow. Under your shadow. We'll be dwelling under your shadow. Sing that with me. Under the shadow of your wings, we'll be under the shadow of your wings. Under the shadow of your wings. Under the shadow of your wings, Yahweh. Really under the shadow of your wings, under the shadow of your wings. Your wings, your wings. Comfort you, comfort my people. Say who I speak comfortably to Yerushalayim and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received of Yahuwah's hand double. for all her sins. Let that forgiveness pour down. Let's bring those background vocals down on us. Pour it down. Come on. Pour it down. Down on us. Down on Yahoo. Pour it down. Down on us. Come on. Down on us. Send down the rain, the let it rain. Down, down on us. Infinite Ruach HaKadosh, pour it down on us. Down on us. It's not by our own strength. It's not by our own works. Pour it down. It's not by our own intellect. It's not on our own. On us. Thank you, Father. So, thank you, Yahweh. Pour it down. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down on us. On us. Down, down on us. Pour it down, 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 down. Infinite Ruach HaKadosh, Almighty, I pour it down. We seek you in the late night hours. Down, down, we need to run over. We need to run over. No. Pour out the overflow. Pour out the overflow. Pour out the overflow. Pour out the overflow. Out of our belly shall flow rivers of living water. Down. Out of our belly shall flow rivers of living water. Out of our bellies flow rivers of living water. Yeah. Thank you, Father. He has truly poured down. Let's take out those background vocals and let us meditate on Yahuwah. We agree, Yahuwah, with your greatness. Yahuwah, we agree with your order. We agree with your standard. Yahuwah, we agree with your way, your truth, your life. Yahuwah, we agree with your plan to prosper us. We agree. And we disagree with every lie. We disagree with the deception. We disagree with that which is not of you. We thank you. Thank you, Yahuwah. We thank you for being patient with us. We thank you for being kind to us. Let us pay that forward, Yahuwah. Let us pay that forward. Let us not be stubborn. When it's our time to pay that love forward to our brother and sister, let us not be stubborn. When we know what's the good thing to do for our brothers and sisters, let us be joyful to do that, Yahuwah. We ask you this thing, knowing that it's only by you that these things are possible. Thank you for your patience, Father, your kindness. You are kind. You are genuine. All the time. Yahuwah, you're so patient. You are so kind. There's none like you. All the time. Father, you're so patient with us. How could you be so kind? You are the uncreated one, genuine. Before time and after time you reign. Yahuwah, you're so patient. You're so kind. There's none like you, the genuine. Help us to be patient. We wanna be kind. Your love is so genuine. All the time. Yeah.
Rain?
That's what's wrong.
You are so patient. You are so kind.
Yes. Hallelujah.
You're so
Mighty Lord, all the one of Israel. We give them all the praise. Hallelujah. Yes. We thank you, Yah. We thank you.
Shalom, shalom, family. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom to everybody on the live feed. Shalom, shalom to everybody. Shalom to the Zakwanim, the elders. Shalom to Maureen, the teachers. Shalom, shalom to the servants, sons and daughters of Yah. We also bid shalom even to the Goyim, the Gentiles, the serve Yah in spirit and truth. Welcome to another Kamaku Ministry live. Shabbat list podcast. Everybody's by day. Make sure y'all check in. Let us know where y'all logging in from. What city and state. We hope everybody had a good Shavuot. Talk to me after everybody. Already kept it. We got to keep it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Everybody. Talk to me out. Shavuot everybody. With that being said, also make sure that y'all continue to email us. Anybody who's interested in Feast of Tabernacles with us, do need to let us know ahead of time. Where you coming from? How many people coming with? Make sure y'all email us at the email screen. Anybody interested in prayer requests, council, anybody may have a marriage ceremony. You want to speak at, let us know, and we'll make arrangements. Other than that, let's get started. Oh, we back at the Revelation of the Olive.
I did one. For those who had hope that we'll do part 2 of the lesson concerning women, we are going to get back to that next week. There's a little bit more that I wanted to add to that story, just so it'll be a little bit more. I mean, that lesson will be a little bit more forward. So please forgive me. I know some of you had hoped that we'll actually get back to it this Shabbat, but we will get back to it next Shabbat. Hallelujah.
So with that being said, this one we're on Revelation of Samech. Last one we did was new. The seed was in the house. We went over understanding as a seed, the responsibility and accountability that you inherit, and what comes with that. And so now, as we get deeper into the Olive, the story gets even more deeper. Accountability gets more deeper. Really, you see the vastity of Yah, and just how we not even describing everything we see. 5% of Yah's conscience, the way he really thinks and how he really moves. He said it's thoughts, it's not our thoughts, it's not our way. Right? You could fathom really the thought process and the ways that Yah moves. Can you imagine you have to create earth, or the heavens, or Sheol, that matter, create something so magnificent that man at first sight has a heart attack. Can you imagine that? So, I ain't turning this up. So, let you. You should be good. So there go. All right. So with that being said, let's get to the Revelation of Samech. Share my screen real quick. And this one was kind of hard for me to put together. Just because, and I'm pretty sure even what I'm going to give y'all today is so much more in depth of it, because I don't really think we know how much Yah loves us. And you know how I know that? Because look at our children sometimes. They think what we're doing is strict, or they think that, it could be a thing too hard. This is not real, or whatever the case may be, right? They just think but when you base it off society, that us as parents, Hebrew parents, and how we must live totally opposite from this society, it could be a hard life, right? And I realized, speaking for self on my own, that you realize they just don't know how much I actually love them.
That's it.
They don't get it. They think it's me being hard, or me being what's the word? Restraintful, strict. What is that word? What does that mean? It's the root word of being restricted. But to be restricted from something, I'm withholding you for something that you think is a lot better. You think. And that's how Israel thought, right? When they went through the wilderness, when they got into the land, these other nations get to do what they want. They get to serve how they want, and they get to, be fruitful in the most ungodliest way, and nothing happened to them. But the minute now I do something, I gotta get whooped for it. I gotta get chastised for it. This is not fair. And I'm so thankful to be a parent because you really get to see through Yah's eyes how he feels about you. Really. It actually becomes a revelation of really how much he loves you. I saw a post the other day, somebody said, they said, looking at this generation, back then I used to think my parents were strict. But I'm so happy they did what they did because how bad this generation looks, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And I say that to each and every one of y'all in this room and even y'all online. As hard as you think your life is, if you still think your life is restricted, you don't realize how blessed you are, really. You don't know how much grace has been upon your life. You probably don't even know when you was drinking that bottle how close you was to kidney disease or lung disease or liver disease, right? Or alcohol poisoning. You don't know probably that last person you slept with in fornication right before y'all pulled you out, he probably protected you from an STD. You don't even know it. But because you can't go fook around, you think it's you being restricted. Huh? Fook around. Fook around. F-O-O-K.
No, I'm older now. So I'm just see if that's what's out right now.
I made that up on the spot. I had to catch myself.
I'm trying to stay current if something happens. I'm still trying to catch up with Captain.
Oh yeah. That came out of my time. But going through this lesson, right? As much as you feel restricted, you don't actually you don't see what's beyond the wall of restriction and how much y'all's keeping danger back. You understand? You think it's a small little realm you in. You just don't see how vast the danger is around you. And that's what Israel didn't realize. It's already bad enough that y'all allowed heathens to stay in the missing land. But you didn't even realize how much danger was around you. Your neighbors was around you, who was literally plotting on you. And they knew if they could just remove the El Elyon, they could just remove Elohim. They can just get you to sin against your own God. I.e., if the system can get your children to turn their back on you, then they won. It's the same thing. But in the form they call gentle parenting. Where children now have rights if they want to call you parent, father or mother or not. Where they have the right to change their sex now. And they're telling you as a parent, you don't have the right to make that choice for them. They're swapping out Black history in the school and exchanging it for LGBT history. And telling you that you're discriminating if you think something's wrong with this. See, they're just like the other nations. They can get your children to go against your commandments, and they have overtook your house. It's the same exact way when it came to the children of Israel and Yah and him trying to keep us away from the culturalistic practices of the nation. So you have Israelites now mixing yoga, mixing chakra talk, mixing Hinduism, all that. And now they're having a speech where they're saying it's all one now. Well, you'll see in history that over time, we got so entangled in mixing other people's culture that we couldn't even identify what was ours versus theirs anymore. Literally, you can see this. I'm reading a book right now called The Jewish Cycles of Life. And it tells you that a lot of things that we think is Jew culture or Yehudim culture is actually Canaanite culture. But we've entangled it over the centuries so long, we've got so far from Yah, we can't even identify what's ours and what's not. Just like some of our children can't even identify who's their daddy, the system of us. Just like the children of Israel can't identify which God are they serving. Because in their eyes, they all look the same. Going towards the same direction. Because you have not put the right boundaries around you. Thinking that you live in a society that you do as thou wilt. You need no boundaries. The only law is there is no law. There is no boundaries in this life. You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. This is a no judgment zone. But in our Father's house, there is judgments. In our Father's house, there is commandments. In our Father's house, there is laws and instructions that you must follow. And he compromises not for your sake. And he's at the point where he's only doing it for his name's sake. When I started to really look at the relationship God had with us, he was not into gentle parenting. He was not into being our friend, buddies, besties. He was only simply making sure that he was our father and we was his people, and that he kept the promise to the children that were obedient. Ooh. Like I said before, a lot of us is living on borrowed time. A lot of y'all, we are living off the grace that by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's obedience that we still live today. We're not doing anything good or greater than them at this moment. Think about it. Just think about it. You can be the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob of your time by doing what's necessary for your father, for your children's sake. By putting your father over your own children. By making sure that you apply your father's boundaries and rules and not listen to the cries of your children for the sake of the world. I don't believe in gentle parenting. It's bad parenting. And our Father is the greatest Father. Therefore, he's the what? The greatest example.
Sometimes it's just really convenient parenting.
Yeah.
It's not really about
parenting.
It's comfortable parenting. You don't want to go through the process of having to tell them no, and then filling in the blanks of what you want to just give them the phone, right? If you just want to give them TV to watch, it's convenient parenting. Because you don't have to be active in their lives to make sure you're focusing on their destiny, like really studying their natural gifts and talents and understanding what's innately in them. That takes focus, that takes you being there in their lives to really go outside and see their weaknesses and their strengths, and because it takes a commitment, right? It takes a conviction to be a parent. It takes a conviction to be a parent. It's not just like, oh, you here, I just get to feed you, I just get to clothe you, and then get you to 18. When you get them to 18, how they're going to look? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So when you think of gentle parenting, it's really convenient for the parent. It's not what's best for the children.
Right. So before we go forward, I want to make sure, can everybody hear me on the live? Let's just get a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me on the live? Let's get a quick sound check. All right, let's go. So let me know when y'all can see the screen. Oh, sorry, yeah. Is up right now? All right, cool. All right, so we're going through Samech. Of course, y'all know, again, we're using the ancienthebrew.org website by Jeff Benner. We're going over the ancient Samech. Like I told y'all before, we've been getting into the pictograph versus the modern, right? You can obviously tell. You can probably get more, or you can probably get a better understanding, or you can try to even extract a meaning of something looking at the early Hebrew versus the modern Hebrew. Would y'all agree? Looking at the modern Hebrew and early Hebrew, you could probably get more of a pictorial idea of what was being conveyed in that letter, right? And when you really look at all the signs, Each sign represented something in nature, right? It represented something that we can pull from nature. I'm a firm believer that man was created last just simply because when he forgot himself, he can look back at nature and just remember how Yah was trying to put him, what place Yah was trying to put him in. And I believe it's when you see Yeshua asking about the lilies and the toiling and the birds and the bees, all that. He's trying to convey. Look at the nature. Do they ask about these things? Do they worry about these things? Trying to get us convey that he created you much better than those things. Therefore, you shouldn't be worrying about those things, right? Talking about that fear factor again. Talking about that anxiety factor again. All that, believe it, the root of all that is lack of faith. So when we look at the Samech, the ancient name seen. So it is believed in history that originally the name was seen versus Samech. So what I did is pretty much get the meaning of both of them. So you'll see later in the lesson that they actually have a lot of very similar rooted definitions. In today's time, they actually have what they call Sheen, which is the 21st letter of the alphabet. They say based upon the Naku, which is the dots, if it's on the left side, that would be seen. If it's on the right, it would be Sheen. But even from Jeff Benner's research, they're saying that possibly the original letter for Samech was seen, which I can actually see that when we go through the definition, because when you go through the picture, it's actually a picture of a thorn, right? Like think of a thorn bush. How it has its branches, then it has its thorn right there, right? So some of the meanings are grab, hate, protect. So going off the history and reconstruction says there are several possibilities for the original Semitic pictograph, including a fish and possibly a thorn, a window, and a thorn. The pictograph is used almost exclusively throughout the early and middle history of this letter. This picture has the meaning of pierce and sharp. This letter also has the meaning of a shield. Keep this in mind. So one of the meanings could be pierce or it could be sharp. Another meaning for it is a shield. Now, shield has a duality to it because a shield can do what? What does a shield do?
Deflect.
It can protect and it can what? Deflect, or it can even be used as an offensive weapon, right? Huh? Overcut, right. So it says, this letter has the meaning of a shield as thorn bushes were used. Now, I want y'all to keep this in mind. Listen carefully. This letter also has the meaning of a shield as thorn bushes were used by the shepherd to build a wall. They used thorn bushes for a shield or build a wall for the flock. To enclose his flock during the night to protect them from predators. Another meaning of this letter is to grab hold, because as you know, if you ever got pricked by a thorn and you walk past a thorn bush, your clothes can easily get grabbed by it, right? So it's able to pull things very easily, or grab hold of things, and it's very sharp at that. And if you get one sharp enough, you'll even prick yourself and start bleeding. So it says, as a thorn clings to hair and clothing. Of all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet, this is the most difficult to reconstruct due to its limited archaeological and textual support. That's why I say it's hard, because when you really look at the definition at the surface, it's really hard to put together, because some historians look at it as a support, an elder support staff, right? And you'll see that shepherds actually kind of made their staff, which a rod is the same thing, made it in that format. But when you actually go to the rooted definition, it actually means a thorn. So it says, the modern Hebrew name for this letter is Samech, which is a word that means support, right? With no apparent connection to a two-letter parent root or to the meaning of the original pictograph of this letter. The Arabic alphabet does not have this letter, and the Greek letter derived from this letter is called the 21st letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Has two names and sounds, sheen and seen. All the words using the seen are related in meaning to the words using a Samech in the same place as the seen. It is possible that the original name for the Samech was seen, which is the Hebrew word for a thorn. At some point, and at some point divided in two letters, the Samech and the Sin, and then the Sin became associated with the letter Shin. So based upon Jeff Benner's research, even my own, they later attached, which I don't know why, because the meaning of Shin and the meaning of Sin, even in the Hebrew, the first letter is different. Shin starts with a Shin. Samech starts with a Samech. So I don't know why they mesh it two, because Shin actually means tooth. It's two teeth. Versus Sin, it means a thorn. Which, I mean, I guess both can prick or bite down, right? So when we go to, let's go to the definition, right? So I'm using, for anybody look, I'm using the Brown Drivers Briggs Hebrew lexicon. Y'all can see. So when we go to the definition in here, right? Let's see, that's not it. Should have had these marks, huh? Just pulling it up. So when we go to the Samech in this book, it can mean to lean, lay, rest, or support. Lean, lay, rest, or support. When you actually go to the Sin on here, it actually means thorn, or it can mean to prick something, or it can mean to cover. So what I wanted to do was go through, a little science of what thorns actually do, so it makes sense. So let me pull that up real quick. Which one I want to go to? This one, right? So everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Pull it up.
I see it.
They can't see it on the screen yet. All right. So thorns. In plant morphology, thorns, spines, and prickles, in general, spinose structures, or hard, rigid extensions or modifications of leaves, roots, stems, or buds with sharp, stiff ends, and generally serve the same function, physically defending plants against herbivory. In common language, the terms are used more or less interchangeably, but in botanical terms, thorns are derived from shoots. Thorns are derived from shoots. Now remember, who was as a shoot? Mashiach. So thorns derive from shoots. Thorns are used for protection. Thorns derive from shoots. Thorns are used for protection. So we can see from this shoot, it can be used in this essence of a thorn bush for what? Protection. And specifically, it's protecting the fruit of that bush. It's protecting the fruit of that bush. Some of those fruit being blueberries or blackberries, and I believe raspberries, right? You got different berries like tomatoes, grapes, and whatnot, but a lot of the time, like elderberry also comes with thorns, depending on what type of bush you're looking at. And I believe, what's another? It's one more. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the point is, it's actually used not only to, it's gonna go more into depth, but it's not only used to protect that fruit, but it actually is what helps preserve water in that whole bush for that fruit. Yes, sir.
I got a question. In the beginning, before Adam and Eve fell.
I'm about to get that. Yeah, I'm about to get that. Because remember, I said it's duality.
Yeah.
There's another side to that as well. It's duality. Okay. So it says, so that they may or may not be branched, they may or may not have leaves, and they may or may not arise from a bud. Spines are derived from leaves, and prickles are derived from epidermis tissues. So now we're going down to the function. It said the predominant function of thorns, spines, and prickles are deterring herbivory in a mechanical form. For this reason, they are classified as physical and mechanical defenses, as opposed to chemical defenses. So meaning this, you have some plants that literally shoot out a chemical to push away pests or any type of animal. But then he says thorns are physically used to protect against predators, to protect against certain animals. So and there's animals that will identify that thorn bush and won't even go near it. Just like if there's certain chemical reactive plants out there, there are certain pests that won't even go near what it's really looking for because that chemical is causing them to flee away. So I want to show y'all a picture, just so this make a lot of sense. Because remember, we read that the shepherd used what for defense against his flock? No. When we read the article, when they would sleep at night, what would they use to protect their flock?
Put a hedge around, hedge of thorns.
A hedge of thorns. They would take a thorn bush, which shows you this how deep it is, which shows you how much endurance the shepherd had to take to protect the flock.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at this example, can y'all see that? Everybody pull up. When you look at this example, right? This is what a shepherd would do while they're asleep. As you see where he's sleeping at, this is what he would put around the sheep. That would be an extra defense for him, so he can actually get rest. And not only would it protect the sheep from predators or people who preying on them, but it also make sure that they would secure them in there. They wouldn't run off or stray away. Or stray away. Now remember, it's the shoot that creates the thorn. It's the shoot that creates the protection, the defense. So when we look at this thorn bush can represent what?
The whole hedge.
The whole hedge. It can represent what? Huh? Right, but in biblical terminology, that thorn bush or that hedge of thorns can represent what? We always talk about it because the Pharisees added an extra hedge.
Right?
Commandments. Mm-hmm. His word is that hedge, thorn hedge of protection.
And they put a crown of thorns on him.
I can get too ahead. You get too ahead. You get too ahead.
Hey, real quick, everybody. Wait, real quick. I want to. We got to kind of set a new standard because people that's listening in the audience, they can't hear when you may have comments or statements or questions. So you got to make sure that you either speak up or even come closer to the table to have a question, or just hold off your questions until after the lesson. Because people is like it gets real distracted when if you ever listen to the lesson, which I hope some of y'all actually do. You can't hear, right? You can't hear. So let's just be cognizant of that.
Yeah, but you're getting ahead out. You're getting ahead because there's a meaning behind that too. Mm-hmm. Remember, everything is very symbolic. It's not by coincidence that they did put a crown of thorns on his head. It's not by coincidence they did pierce him or prick him. It's not by coincidence at all. Even the very nature of what they pricked him with and what it was made out of. It's not by coincidence when they was whooping him, there was actually thorns on the whip. Because I remember I said, for a shepherd to protect, there's a certain type of endurance he must have. He's not going to do all that without getting pricked a few times. And for our sake, he took lashes. You see? It was by his word that he created a defense or fence or what they really would call a sheepfold.
And a lot of people, we have an issue when we come into this walk. It seemed like you don't get the same attention if you was an attractive woman. If you was a man that got a lot of attention, it seemed like all of a sudden people just stopped liking you. Like you're not getting the fleshy, you know what I mean? You're not getting that reaction. And next thing you know, because you used to it, you thinking like, Am I ugly now? Nobody like me? No, there's a hedge around you.
Oh, we.
There's a spiritual hedge that's been put around you.
Oh, we.
Yeah,
Exactly. Remember I said that.
Yeah. There's a hedge around you.
He's protecting you from old things that used to entrap you, that used to devour you in the world.
So all of a sudden, spiritually, you feeling like man, I'm not, nobody like me. Like, what's up? I'm not getting the attention I want to say. Since I came in this walk, it seemed like whatever.
Yeah.
Now you can leave the hedge of protection, right? But so long as you're in it, a lot of people are not liking you because spiritually, there's that spiritual connection with Satan, and the world has been broken.
Yes, sir. So I just want y'all to really look at that again. Now it looked like it could be dangerous, right? But it's only dangerous if the sheep try to escape. It's only dangerous they try to push the threshold of the line of protection, trying to get somewhere they shouldn't be. That's the only time pain and suffering will come.
Say that again. What happened?
That's the only time pain and suffering will come.
What?
When you try to push the threshold of that line of protection.
Then you getting pricked.
And you getting pricked. And the word pricked their heart. Yes, sir.
It's almost like, I'll speak loud. It's almost like if you try to leave the hedge of protection back into the world, you're taking blows just to get back to you.
Yes. Exactly what you're doing. Have you ever seen that woman, the movie The Woman King? You know what I'm saying? Remember when one of the texts was they had to get through thorn bushes. And she was getting through it, but in order for her to actually go save her sister, she had to end up taking more than the rest. So when the scriptures say that once you come into the knowledge of truth, that Mashiach should no longer die for you, that's what that means. He ain't gonna no longer go on that wood no more. He's no longer go get hung no more or pricked no more for your sake because you keep pushing the threshold.
That's what the Spirit told Paul. It's not hard to kick against the pricks. He's trying to tell him, like, you're trying to cross the boundaries where I've encompassed you around this hedge.
Yep.
Right? And this is protection, but now, Go ahead.
So, from the Bible dictionary, I know we got to go here. Sheepfold, or what they may call sheep coat. What it mean, how Israel used it was, it says it's an enclosure intended for protection of sheep and also to keep them from wandering out and getting lost. So we can see spiritually when Yeshua came on the scene, he was in the land of Israel, but he came to Israel to look for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which means they have become spiritually lost, or they have become spiritually wandering off, right? Just like the name Raquel or Rachel. It literally means a wandering sheep. And was she not the one who brought idolatry into Israel or Jacob's house? And end up by his own word put a curse on her? Because she tried to bring in the ways of her father's house, the ways of the world, into his house, he who kept Torah. You see that? So it says, getting lost. These foes were simple walled enclosures, usually without roofs, with the walls covered with thorns to keep out robbers. Keep out robbers. Keep out robbers. Several flocks would usually pass the night in one fold under the care of a shepherd who guarded the door. Who guarded the door. Who guarded the door. Each shepherd knew his own sheep and was known by them. So we can tell by he who wandered or she who wandered the sheep clearly did not know the sound of his shepherd's voice. Because if he did, he would always understood that the shepherd was always near. And it was really not the shepherd that went away or far away, because he always stayed near. But it was the sheep that wanted to go off and wander off into strange lands. into strange lands. I don't think I'm ready for this. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 34. Ezekiel chapter 34. I want y'all to remember, we're dealing with Samech, which can also mean seen. So we're dealing with something that supports and something that pierces, something that protects and something that prints. We're dealing with duality here. And depending on the recipient on both sides, if both sides actually don't stay the distance from that wall, both actually endure the same pain. Isn't that something? So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 34. We're going to start at verse 11. They actually call this section the restoration of Israel.
Yep. 11, right?
Yep.
Okay. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 34, 4 verse 11. For thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, even I will both search my sheep and seek them out.
So we're identifying that Yah will actually go to seek his sheep. Obviously, by default, if he's seeking, that means they're what? Lost. And they're also wandering. Come on.
As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day.
Come on.
And I will bring them out from the people.
Now remember this. I will bring them out from the people. I will bring them out from the people. Remember that. Come on.
From the people. And gather them from the countries. And will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country.
So he's going to take them out of one place. Well, he's going to take us out of one place and then transplant us back into our rightful place. Come on.
I will feed them in a good pasture.
In a what?
A good pasture.
Now, what is a pasture? Size elder. What is a pasture, y'all? It can be open land, right? But it's also land that's also fenced off too. So it's open land. It's a vast amount of land, but it's fenced off. If you actually really study Torah, like if you really study Torah and even see how he told us to build the tabernacles of the walls of Israel, there was a certain type of structure that wall we had to do for a defense as well. Come on.
I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be.
Shall their what be?
Fold be.
Shall their fold be. So remember, mountains represent kingdoms. It can represent a kingdom. And this was going to be a high kingdom. But even within that kingdom, that's where the fold or the pasture would be for the sheep. Come on.
There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel.
Come on.
I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith Jehovah Elohim. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment.
Come on.
And as for you, O my flock, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle.
Between what?
Cattle and cattle.
Come on.
Between the rams and the he-goats.
Come on.
Seemeth it a small thing unto you to have eaten up the good pasture?
Come on.
But ye must tread down with your feet the residue of your pastures, and to have drunk of the deep waters, but ye must foul the residue with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat that which ye have trodden.
Now he's talking about the fat and strong, right? Which most of the time, obviously, talking about the leaders,
Mhm.
those who are leading the people, that they start to extort the people.
Mhm.
They start to use the people, and most of all, they start to cause the sheep to scatter.
Mhm.
Come on.
And they drink that which ye have fouled with your feet.
Come on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord Elohim unto them, behold, even I will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle,
Come on.
because ye have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the disease with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad.
So when you actually go into nature, especially when it comes to sheep, when dealing with wolves, what they actually do is they'll cause the actual sheep to scatter, because they already got which sheep they want. They already got picked out which sheep they actually want to get in there. A lot of the time, they're going to pick the weakest sheep who can't run, just like lions. They'll look for the weakest elephant, right? Or the weakest, what's the other one they eat? Gazelle. They'll look for the weakest gazelle. And then what they'll try to do is, if he's surrounded or she's surrounded, they'll try to cause all the gazelles or the elephants, or in this case with the wolves and sheep, all the sheep to scatter so they can go get that one. So this is exactly what's going on when it came to the people of Israel, that they're pushing and driving all the sick amongst Israel, and they're looking for the weak to prowl upon. Come on.
Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey.
Mm.
And I will judge between cattle and cattle,
Uh-huh.
and I will set up one shepherd over them.
I will set up what?
One shepherd over them.
Right, come on.
And he shall feed them.
Uh-huh.
Even my servant David.
Uh-huh.
He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd.
Come on.
And I, the Yehovah, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yehovah, have spoken it.
Now we know prophetically he's talking about the line of David. Remember? The house of David. Right? Because we obviously know by this time David ain't there no more. Come on.
Mm-hmm. And I will make with them a covenant of peace.
Now watch this.
And will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land.
Just like a shepherd would, he will cause the beast or the predators to move back. And if you know, anytime there's a residency in that area, especially with beasts, they'll move further away from that land, especially they see people, especially humans, reside in that area. They will move from that land when they see civilizations being built.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness.
In the what?
In the wilderness.
Uh-huh.
And sleep in the woods.
Uh-huh.
And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing.
Uh-huh.
And I will cause the shower to come down in his season. Mm-hmm. There shall be showers of blessing.
So now we see that not only is this shepherd clearing the land out, mm-hmm. he's not putting the hedge of protection back on it, and he's making sure that there's enough food and substance that it will be a blessing to his flock. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind. It will be a blessing to his flock. So what comes with following this shepherd, being under his hedge or being under this sheepfold, is a fattening land, a land of milk and honey, blessings and abundance without end. Come on.
And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Jehovah, when I have broken the bands of their yoke and delivered them out of the hands of those that serve themselves of them. Mm-hmm. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen.
Be a what?
Be a prey to the heathen.
Oh, so that means you would have to be within this house, this tabernacle, this temple, this realm to have this protection. Going outside of protection will leave you what they would say exposed to the elements, or exposed to your predators. Come on.
And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them.
Ooh-wee.
But they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Now remember, he's talking about dwelling back in the land, that even the beasts, and we'll go into that during the Torah, right? Because we talk about that he couldn't even remove. Remember, he said we could not remove the heathen that was amongst us fast because it would cause the beasts of that land to what? Mm-hmm. So there's a reason even for their residency. Ooh-wee. There's a reason even for their residency, the heathen, the Gentile. It was a reason for them even having a purpose of staying there. Mm-hmm. Was it to follow them or was it convert them? You see that? Come on.
And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger. in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore.
Come on.
Thus shall they know that I, the Jehovah, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people.
Come on.
Saith Jehovah Elohim. And yea, my flock, the flock of my pastor, are men, and I am their Elohim. I am your Elohim, saith Yahweh Elohim. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me share this article, because I thought this was pretty interesting. I thought this was actually pretty interesting. Let me know when y'all can see this. Y'all can see that? All right. So it says, thorns and thistles. Israel, being a Mediterranean and partly a desert country, is rich in prickly plants. Is rich in prickly plants, which in various locations dominate the landscape. The thorns protect the plant from damage through grazing, and in many cases prevent it from drying up, because the prickly leaves or branches limit the surface of a plant and diminish the amount of evaporation. Thorns are found on trees, shrubs, and perennials and annual plants. So I want to show that, right? So we keep going. So it says many names are used for prickly plants in Scripture. The identification of thorns of the Bible is more difficult than that of other plants, because some of the names are general ones or others synonyms. This is especially so with those prickly plants which are mentioned in pairs, such as coals or dardar, and thorns and thistles, Genesis 3, which you're going to go there too. Shamir and Shayit, which means beers and thorns, Isaiah 7. Naazumi and Nahalumi, and is a comprehensive name for plants whose leaves or stalks have prickly projection which pierce anyone that touched them. So you'll see a lot of, I ain't gonna go through the whole thing, but you will see a lot of references to thorns, thickets, brambles, I think is another one. You'll see a term like pricked. You'll see a lot of essences of Yah using a thorn to try to convey a message to Israel. So going back to what Yaakov was going to in Genesis, right? Because remember I said there's duality. Thorns can protect, but they also could be a danger to you. Or we're going to say in this term, it can also be a curse to you. So let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 17. Genesis chapter 3, verse 17.
Ready?
Yep.
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake.
Let's start right there. So now, remember, I said you could be on either side of that fence, right? You could either be on the side of protection, or you could be on the side of where it's desolation, really. Because usually outside, remember, outside of that is desolation. Outside of that is danger. Outside of that is you're exposed to the elements. So which puts you in constant fear. So you could possibly be groping at noonday, seeking your life day in and day out, because you have now lost that fence or hedge of protection. So when Adam did not follow the instructions by hearkening unto the weaker vessel, when he was given the instructions, he put his whole entire family in a place of desolation. And you will actually see the most thorn bushes in a desolate place. So is there a reason why the land of Israel today is full of desolate bushes or thorn bushes? See, it could be a defense, but it also could be a sign of a curse. It could be a sign that the land is being drained, and there is no life or substance there.
Because remember, with a thorn bush, you don't need that much water, which means that area was dried up, not being able to produce much life. Let's keep going.
Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and at eating of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field.
So again, a lot of time when it comes to eating from these type of thorn bushes, you're eating berries. Now, if you ever ate berries, you know you ain't gonna get too full off berries.
And then they give you run.
And it's gonna have you running. It's gonna have you detoxifying like crazy. And the reality is berries don't hold that much hydration. So that is actually a sign that there's not much water of life there. And he shall drink from the water of life, what? Freely. Which meant to have thorn bushes, yeah, it could be a protection for that time. It's temporary though. But the reality, it was a sign of a curse. So let's read the verse. Read 18 again. We're gonna read 19. We're gonna move
Thorns and thistles shall bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field.
Now, even that part, remember, because the herbs is for what? Healing of the nations. The only time you were supposed to be taking herbs if you need to heal. The primary fruit for man during that time was fruit. So even to have to take medicine was a sign that you were sick. It was a sign that you needed healing. So he was saying, not only will you be in a desolate land, but because you will lack, you're going to need healing. You're going to need restoration. That's what that is a sign of. Because the reality is you're not supposed to take herbs every day. You're not. You can actually get sick from taking too much every day. You're only supposed to use it when you need to heal. Other than that, because most trees, especially herbs, especially that astringent and potent, has a little poison in it. So for you to take it only to cause a detoxification within the body. But the rejuvenation, the revitalization came from the actual fruit of the tree. You see that? So to see that you needed herbs, to see that you had to get your food and till the ground that hard from the sweat of your eyebrows was a sign that that was a desolate land. Because they remember, the flock of Yah's pasture don't have to work for all that. It naturally grows because he created all things. So he supplied you with the food that you needed that grow naturally. Anytime you have to actually manipulate it yourself and you have to do it to tilling yourself, that's from your hands and not Yah's.
And as well, when you're dealing with a lot of thorns and thistles, there's a lot of clearing that you have to
do. Yes.
You have to clear the land in order even to plant food. Because if you have a lot of thorns and a lot of thistles in the land that's kind of overtaking the land, you got to touch those bushes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got to clear it. And in order for you to even plant or to sow seed in that land, you have to clear all that land. You know, like those of us who actually been on certain land and saw that the clearing process, you getting scraped up, you getting scratched, just so you can actually plant on that land. And that's kind of like what we even have to do in this real life, where we find ourselves in order to get food, we are put in probably occupations that we don't want to work in. Right. Or things that don't necessarily is not where our real passion is.
Right.
Like we'll get a job, but we don't necessarily like it. But it almost become a thorn in our flesh because we need money. Right. We need money. But then on the other end, you see what I'm saying? It's not what we want to do. We got to labor extra hard just to reap the benefits of it.
Right.
So we're put in an uncomfortable position based on that. So we can spiritually be placed in a land where there's thorn and thistles. But if a man don't work, he don't eat. So you got to clear the land, right? Or you got to endure.
Let's go to Isaiah 55. We'll start at verse 7. Isaiah 55, verse 7.
Let the wicked forsake his way, and let the unrighteous man his thoughts,
and let him return unto Yahweh.
So let's think about this. The first thing he said, let the wicked forsake their way. And to forsake means to turn around. Not a 360, but a 180.
Yes.
So they have to forsake their way. And the righteous man, his thoughts, meaning his thoughts should not be of his own, but be of whose? Mashiach. Yah's, right? He said, and let him return. Return meaning he had to obviously leave. So let him return to the Most High. Keep going.
And he will have mercy upon him and to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts, not your thoughts, are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Jehovah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
So when we're having this struggle, or why is y'all doing this to me? Why I gotta have this burden of a life? I'm not having any fun in this life. It's because your thoughts are not on his thoughts, and your ways are not on his ways. And you, because you're so self-centered and self-reliant, self-willed, you can't even really see that he's actually protecting you. You can't even actually see the blessings that he have established for you already since the foundations of the earth. You can't even see that he's really protecting you from yourself. So when he says my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts, because you can't even see what tomorrow looks like. But he's seeing your years 30 years from now. So there's no possible way that you can be concerned about a future or planning the future where you don't even know if tomorrow's promised. And when you realize that you are as a sheep with his head down, just listen for the master's voice in which direction, you will realize that even your own will is not your own. So when you find yourself trying to do your own thing and nothing is working, it's because you're actually pushing against Yah. Or as they say, pushing against the pricks. Come on.
For as the rain cometh down and the snow from the heaven, and returneth not
Come on.
thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. And it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. For ye shall go out with joy and be led with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn,
Instead of what?
the thorn.
Come on.
Shall come up the fir tree. And instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree.
And briar is nothing but also a thorn bush as well. Come on.
The myrtle tree. And it shall be unto Yahweh for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off.
So to have thorns and barriers is a sign that you are cut off. So when we see that the land of Israel today is full of thorns and bushes or bristles, it's because it's a sign that the people were cut off. Because once you come back, he said, I will remove it. I will remove it. So that's a testimony against the so-called Jewish people today. I don't want to get cut off from YouTube. The Jewish people today. The Ish people, right? That, or what they would Dr. want to say, the untouchables. That's the sign of the untouchables. That you can't be the people because the land is really still desolate. The fact that you have to transplant different plants from other countries just to grow even a barley shows you that the land is desolate. The fact you got to even create an irrigation system is a sign that the land is desolate. The fact that you can't even produce your own oil in the land of Israel today is a sign that the land is desolate. But that's a spiritual desolation that's being seen, that the people are not back. Because once the righteous come back, he tells you right there what he say. Instead of the thorn shall come up fir trees. And instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. Did you know that it's less than 10% of myrtle trees in Israel today? Even palm trees, there's not that many. And if they do happen, they have literally had to transplant them into the land. There's not much there that's growing by itself in the land. And I've been there. It says, and it's funny because during 2009, I don't know if y'all remember, I did a lesson called Mother's Calling Us Home. But that was the year so-called 1619, right? The 2019 was so-called the 4-year prophecy. Interestingly enough, that was the first year that the land actually started to sprout out water. They haven't seen that in who knows how long. It started to actually sprout out water. And that was the time where it was a huge awakening going on. Huge. So that it's showing you as the more as the people waking up, the land is waking up too. See that? So now let's get into the protection, right? Because I want to talk about two sides. I want to talk about the protection of thorns and thistles, but I also want to talk about when the protection of those thorns and thistles are removed. So we're gonna talk about the protection first. Let's go to Exodus chapter 3. We'll start at verse 1.
Now when Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Horeb. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush.
Out of the what?
Midst of a bush.
Now, here's the interesting thing about this, right? If you historically find going to Israel's usage of thorns or thorn bushes, they will actually use thorn bushes to create a bigger fire. So to see a thorn bush that actually was lit on fire, it was not being consumed and it was not spreading. That was a phenomenon of Moses because they know when you use thorn, it helps the fire spread even more. So Yah came to Moses as a burning flame in a thorn bush. Come on.
An angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Come on.
Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt.
Come on.
And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see that Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. And he said, draw not nigh hither, put off the shoes off of thy foot. For the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
So, reason I went with this, because this actually shows you, there's a revelation in this. For the fire of Yah, we can say the spirit of Yah, to be abounding or consuming or not consuming this burning bush, this thorn bush, shows you when Yah's spirit is around the bush, when Yah's spirit is circumferenced in that bush, that it still stands. That when Yah's spirit is on that bush of protection or that hedge, that bush can still stand and not be consumed. So he uses the foolish things or the things that is unnatural for man to see to show that even in the littlest thing, I can call it to stand. Or even in the stones I can make out of Abraham's children. See that? Let's go to John 10. I know we go to this a lot, but as I'm getting more into the alphabet, there's so much meat in John 10 alone, especially dealing with the alphabet. Let's start at verse 1.
Truly, truly, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber.
Now remember, he said, when we read the book, he said what? The whole purpose of the sheepfold or the hedge of thorns was to keep what out? Robbers. Huh? And a lot of time those robbers was coming to do what? Take what exactly? The sheep. So one is teaching another Mashiach or if one is teaching another message, if one is teaching another doctrine and using another book like an OISP, huh?
There to steal the sheep.
They're trying to steal the sheep,
Mm-hmm.
and they're teaching another God.
Mm-hmm.
See, we can simply, what they say, analyze a situation or diagnose a situation by what a person is saying, what they're teaching, or what they're doing. Because remember, if they are of Mashiach's voice or they're of Mashiach's flock, not only do they know the voice, but they're on the same exact mission. Any other person is coming as a robber and a thief, and we needs to be labeling people as that. You teaching anything else, you're coming as a robber and a thief. So we see right here that door, it said that sheepfold is only one door to the sheepfold.
Mm-hmm.
So we can identify, right, that you only can come in one way. Let's see what that way is.
But he that entered then by the door is the shepherd of the sheep.
Come on.
To him the porter openeth.
That's not right there. Now remember, we saw who the shepherd was, right? When we read Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the shepherd? Who did it say was the shepherd?
Most High.
It said the Most High was the shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, but he that entered by the door is the shepherd. So we see Mashiach is pointing back to who? The Father. So that Father ultimately is the chief shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth.
Anybody know what the porter is? You know what a porter is? Huh?
Is that the thing that ring go up and down?
Mm-mm. The porter pretty much is the gatekeeper. Ooh, it's the gatekeeper. So not only is the shepherd the Most High, but there's a gatekeeper that also is guarding the door. Keep going.
To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out.
Come on.
And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice.
So we see that the sheep can't even move without the voice of the master telling them to move. The sheep can't even move until the master commands the door to open to them to move, which means they can't even move from that hedge of protection, huh? Or that hedge of thorns without the say-so of the master or the chief shepherd. Come on.
Verse 5. And the stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers.
So we can say now, those who follow many teachers, those who follow many doctrines, many people who are trying to teach the word, right? That not only can we say that they don't even know the master's voice, but we can also say they don't even have a master.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a master. Because to know your master is to know his what? His voice. Come on.
This parable spake Yeshua unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Yeshua unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep.
Oh, hold on. Stop right there. If the Father is the shepherd and Yeshua is the door, then who's the porter? Who's the porter? We are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers. Which means we all been given an assignment when to come in here. Because if we're calling ourselves watchmen, and watchmen are there to protect the walls, they are there to sound off the shofar. That means it's our duty to protect not only the sheep, but it is our duty to make sure nobody who's a stranger come in the door. Which means we should have more of an obligation of who we even let in our own houses because we have our own flock to protect. See, when you came in this walk, you were not just here just to be giggly and joy and floss off your identity. You were called to be a pillar in his kingdom. You were called to be a watchman and a priest to his kingdom. Therefore, you have the obligation to protect. You have the obligation to uphold his kingdom, and you have the obligation to be an intercessor for all nations. He did not choose you because we were the greatest amongst the nations. We were the least. But remember, he will even use the foolish things to glorify his name. And you know we had to be the biggest fool of all the nations because we the one who had the Elohim and still failed. And still failed. Let's keep going. So he is the door.
Mm-hmm.
The Father is a shepherd, and we are that porter. We are that gatekeeper. Come on.
All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. But the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and not out and find pasture.
So it's just like, you know, you trying to get into a lock or something. You got to have, what do you have to have to get into a safe? A key, combination, or if you're trying to enter into a door like a secret society, you may have to have a what?
A
code or a password. So in order to get past the door, you have to have the password or the word to pass. You have to have clearance of his word to come into his pasture. Because remember, he's not looking for you. He's looking for Yeshua, the word manifested in the flesh in you.
And we come in by his name.
Which means we come in by his what? Authority. There you go. Just keep going.
The thief comes not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have it more. Absolutely good. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Can I speak?
Yeah, good.
Because remember when he's saying like Mikael, he showed you the fold. And he said that there's actually a giant wall or hedge or coat or fold that surrounds the land of Israel. And there's nothing but pasture sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Nothing but abundance of land. And because he's speaking, he's using what you would call anamorphic. Theologically, he's giving us a pictorial view of the way we should see him as our pastor, and the way we should see ourselves as sheep, right? You think about everybody that's actually so-called Israelite, known or unknown. What are we really lacking? What is our daily battle? What do we struggle with more than anything? No. Just natural far as life goes. Resources. Right? Yeah. We struggle with resources. Our biggest fight is resources. The biggest thing that occupied probably, if not all our time, is our resources. Yeah. Is our thoughts on food, raiment, clothing, shelter, right? We're constantly worried about those things. So yes, even though we are not necessarily in a physical captivity, we're still under economic we could say captivity, for lack of a better word, right? But we are not in every man. If we look at it globally, Yah did not purpose for humanity to ever not have their own sovereignty or their own land.
Right.
Because land is always going to constitute provision. It's always going to constitute resources.
Yeah.
All of those are, but when you look globally, there's a global economy now. There's a global government. And you look at everything they're trying to consume is what? Land, resources, right? But now you're starting to see some of these multi-billionaires consuming nothing but land. They just want land. They're buying goobs and guys' land. Money ain't even become real soon. It's going to be about real estate because real estate is always going to equate to resources.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get control of resources. They always known that it's not just about getting power. It's about if you control the resources, you control the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everything is corporatized farming, right? The schools are corporatized. Everything is corporation because these corporations control the hearts and minds and the resources of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be in want of all things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at what Mashiach is basically saying, he's like, I'm going to bring you back to your land where there will be no lack. Everything
Right.
that's pertaining to life, you will have,
Right.
right? So but he's saying that in the future, that he is the door.
Yep.
He is that shepherd. And the only way you're going to get to those resources in the future is through him.
Yep.
And this is why he's saying you're going to have life and have it more abundant. Because we ain't going to have to go through the warfare that we have to go through to get just to meet our daily needs.
Right.
So when he says, where you at, 11?
Verse 11, yeah.
Okay. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming and fleeth, and the wolf catches them and scatter the sheep.
You can look at this as somebody who could come in, teach a certain doctrine, and then all of a sudden they're gone. All of a sudden they're gone somewhere else. And this is why it's imperative, whether you be man or woman, to study the word. Because the reality is this could be your leader, this could be your wife, this could be your husband, this could be your even own children that can cause you to go another way and then stray away. And then you out there left for the wolves, which the wolves is nothing but the other nations. That's the other nations. So it's imperative that you need to know the master. You need to know the master's voice. You need to know his words and instructions, because at some point you got to know, even if somebody's talking, is the master's voice in their voice. Ooh. Is the master's voice in their voice? Or does it just sound good? Because we have soothing ears. It's very easy to move Israel, let's be honest. Very easy to move Israel. Anything that sounds good, educated, or scientific, we move by it. Huh?
Or make you some money.
Or make you some money, right? Because we're in the time of information, the time of quick money at this point. So we have, as the people, as the sheep, we must know the master's voice. Because if we don't, we could be led astray by anybody. Let's be honest. Anybody could be used for Satan's good in his kingdom. Anybody. So if you're not studying your self-approval and all you're doing is just keep listening to somebody else, it ain't nobody's fault except yours. That's it. So let's go to Psalm 78.
Can I read 14?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of my sheep. One reason I really want to highlight this: how do we know he is our shepherd? How do we know he is our shepherd? There's a way in which we know he is our shepherd. And we kind of started out with the prayer, and when Maury was talking about us coming in with our testimony. We know he's our shepherd based on our testimony.
Yeah.
You see, you're not going to know he's your shepherd if you haven't ever gone through anything and you have never had to see him actually shepherd you through a situation or a circumstance. Or you're brought through something where you've seen that he's led and guided you out of a situation, right? Whether it be the valley of the shadow of death, right? You know him, and you're not going to hear another voice or another deity or another Elohim, because you know that this power has sovereignly gotten me through situations. But if you don't know your testimony, if you don't reveal your testimony, you're not testifying of his death, burial, and resurrection. You're not testifying of his power that has delivered you from sin and the grave. You're not you don't know him.
Mhm.
So another one can actually come in and easily, and you will hear the voice, you will hear their voice, because all of a sudden this convinces you that Christ is not your shepherd, Mashiach is not your shepherd. But those of us that are his sheep, we're not going to willy-nilly go and allow anybody to seduce us and get in our ear and actually lead us from his sheep,
Right.
lead us from his pastors, right? So we know him. We know him how? We know him by him guiding and leading us.
Okay.
Mhm. This is the only way we can know him.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? A sheep don't look, shepherds don't look like sheep. And what I mean by saying that is that a shepherd don't have the character of sheep. You know, Mashiach became a sheep and died for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that we should not be looking for our image in our shepherd.
Yeah.
We should be looking for the character of our shepherd operating in our life.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that by way of communicating with him and praying with him, when he does things in your life, that's how you're going to know, because you're going to know you know him by his character.
Yep.
You have to read his word to know his character.
Yep.
Is that making sense?
Yeah.
If you don't read his word, you're not going to know him. You're not going to know what to expect. You're not going to know what's allowed to you. You're not going to know what's promised to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of me, and I give it liberally and upbraid him not. If you need wisdom in a situation, if you ask him, then all of a sudden you get wisdom out of a situation, and he guided you, he told you to go here and do this or do that, and you led and it brings you out of that situation, then your shepherd spoke to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But he says you have not because you ask not. And then when you ask wrongly, you ask amiss, consume on your lust. Then you get disenchanted when he didn't respond to your flesh or your lust. We have to know how to ask him correctly. We have to be, because he said his sheep know his voice too.
Okay.
So you have to know what your master, what your shepherd has for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know that, you're not going to actually correspond with him correctly.
Okay.
Because it's two things. This movie is two things, elements. You knowing his voice, right? And him knowing you.
Yep.
Because he know his sheep and his sheep know him.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to know him if you don't live by the bread. Man cannot live by bread alone, but by what? Every word that proceeds out of the mouth. Yeah, you're not going to get strength. You're not going to get the guidance you need if you're not in his word.
Yep.
Because his character is in his word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go to Psalms chapter 78. We're going to start at verse 51. Actually, you can start at verse 52.
Say 78.
Yeah, verse 52. Yeah. You can go to verse 52.
Mm-hmm. The book of Psalms 78 and 52. But made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock.
Now I want y'all to remember, I told y'all to remember the wilderness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the people, wilderness of the people. Keep remembering that. Come on.
And he led them on safely, so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies.
Come on.
And he brought them to the border of his sanctuary.
To the border of his what?
Sanctuary.
Come on.
Even to this mountain, which his right hand have purchased.
Ah, so now he's looking at it as real estate, right? He's bringing them into his real estate. He's bringing them into his sovereign lands, right? He brought them to the borders, right? Which outline his lands. Come on.
He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them an inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tent.
Just like a good shepherd, he goes to clear the land out and scare off any beast that may be on the outskirts of Warden to attack his sheep. Same exact way. So he's bringing us to this edge of protection. He's bringing us into this sanctuary of peace, so that we can actually live abundantly, live peaceably, even amongst all men, if they are at the neighboring outskirts, but at least we'll be in his borders. We'll be around his hedge while doing it. Come on. So let's go to Psalms 100. Let's start at verse 1.
Make a joyful noise unto Yahweh, all ye lands. Serve the Yahweh with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Yahweh, he is Elohim. It is he that have made us and not we ourselves.
Say that again.
It is. Know ye that the Yahweh, he is Elohim. It is he that have made us and not we ourselves.
Now let me ask y'all something. Have y'all ever seen a Mercedes-Benz create its own instructions?
No.
Have you ever seen a Ford create its own instructions? But usually it's the manufacturer of that Ford that not only made the Ford, but made the instructions for that Ford so that it can be of good use in the longevity of things.
You know the cold part is people will get a Mercedes and not read how to care for the Mercedes, thinking that they're in a Honda or a Honda, right?
Just like people.
How many people actually read the manual of the book?
There it is. Yep.
And so you can get all of the use and all of the let's say, because let's say a Mercedes. I'm glad you use Mercedes, right? Let's say let's go even higher. Let's say an exotic car like a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be like even down to the paint, right? You ain't gonna go get some turtle wax to wash that car, right? Because there's a certain treatment even on the paint. There's going to be specific instructions on how to take care of that Bugatti, right? There's going to be a different level of maintenance that you're going to have to do just for the oil change alone. Believe me, you're not just going to go under a hood of Bugatti and pull out the dipstick and be able to read it. That car is made to go to the service part of Bugatti. Go get service, because those engines are precision instruments. They're precision engines. But if you thinking like a nigga, I'm just being honest, right? If you thinking like a nigga and you get in a Bugatti because you just got a whole bunch of money, that Bugatti you're not going to get its maximum use. You're not, and as well, you're going to probably take it on roads it's not supposed to be on.
Right.
Those cars really ain't even made for certain roads in America.
That's a fact.
Those roads are really made for European roads. There's certain ways they put more effort in their engineering on their roads, like the Autobahn and all those. Those cars are made to run on specific roads. Yeah, you know what I mean? They got different kind of roads. So there's no way in the world I would bring a Bugatti to Georgia and get on the 285. Nowhere in the land. You see what I'm saying? But no, I'm just speaking to this point to say, but how many actually open up the manual and see how you're supposed to use that car? And why don't we know how to act? We're supposed to be able to read the manual on how we should treat ourselves.
Right. So we call ourselves Hebrew Israelites. How many of us actually know how to cross over? How many of us actually know how to obtain power between Yah and man? Well, you're calling yourself a Hebrew Israelite, but not following the manual to be a Hebrew Israelite.
Meaning that you're a peculiar person, but how do you be peculiar?
Right.
How do you be exotic? Because that's what you really are.
Right.
He said you're not like the nations.
Right. And it's almost like what I used to do is I would call Paul Messiah Hennessy. You put the label on, but in the inside it's really Paul Messiah. It ain't Hennessy. Literally, we used to do that. We'll put Paul Messiah in a Hennessy bottle and we call it Penny. But that's how we are in Israel. We put the garments of Israel on, but inside we are Paul Messiah.
Y'all
low
really
grade.
put Paul Messiah in the
Oh yes, when we're done with the Hennessy. oh, this when we done. Because you know, Paul side is cheaper.
Right.
It can still get you to the same point. So when we got done with that, you know, we had somebody coming over, you know what I mean? We'll put Paul side in there, act like it was Hennessy.
Okay.
But the point is that what we act like. We'll put on the garments, right, as Israelites. But the reality is, in the inside, we're still Negro peons and heathens.
Oh, it's like the Chrysler 300 when all the niggas was thinking they was in a Bentley.
Exactly. 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 You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
And we fell for it. That's cool.
Exactly. We fell for it. So this is why Mashiach say you will clean the outside of the bottom, but not clean the inside. You'll put on the real garments and the zeets and the mixed fabric of Joanne's fringes on, but you will not actually become an Israelite within. You will not truly be Ben Yisrael within. You will not be Ben Elohim within, but you will portray to be the sons of God to the point that you will say, ye are gods. I've never seen a God so low in captivity that he can't even grow his own food. I've never seen a God so low that he don't even know what true financial literacy is. I'm just saying, we talking about God. We're God-like, or we're Elohim on earth. My Elohim is sovereign over all things in his life, or that pertain to him. So when we talk about putting on this element of understanding who created us, and we did not create ourselves, there's a manual on how to actually have usage of yourself. But the reality is,
oh man, that's a lesson. You just went somewhere right there. This is something else. Yeah.
so you don't even realize that you are stuck in the thorn bush, trying to figure out which way to go. But the reality is you went far, but it actually cuts deeper to keep going outside the bounds and inside. You may get cut coming back, but at least you know once you come back within the fold, there is safety. Ooh, there is safety.
Because we're not even maximizing our potential.
No.
To be one who is as Yah. Right? And when you think about it, the diet, so you'll run at your superior. You'll actually perform at your apex level, at your supremium level. He gave us food, so for fuel, this is how you run at your optimum potential. These are the certain garments you wear, so you will appear and you will actually be able to express that you are a set apart people, you are holy people, you are Kadesh people. You're not like the nations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That you're not supreme in of yourself. That's why I said we didn't make ourselves, but what we do makes us supreme. He said, you can let the nations go on and eat. You can sell them pigs. You can let them eat what dies of itself. But for you, it's not for you. It's an abomination to you. Why? Because I've made you above the nation.
Right. Right.
We ain't supposed to be mingling your seed with these heathens. These people don't drink blood. These people done done all. These people done made pacts with devils.
Right.
They done had sex with demons. They done had all kind of other stuff happen. So you're not even supposed to mingle your seed with their children.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
It's like taking a Ford engine and putting it in a Lamborghini.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's beautiful.
And just like going back to what you're saying, expansion, you can actually expand the hedge of thorns. So you will have more space, but it also at the same time keeps your neighbors or your enemies further back. See, we got this thing we like to lean, it's just too restricted. No, it's called discipline. Discipline. If you want to live a certain type of life, you want to have a healthy body, a cut body, you got to have discipline. Are you really restricted? Just disciplining yourself. Just like going back to you saying the heathen are allowed to eat certain things, but we're not. It's like a pig. That's why I said do not cast your pearls to what? Swine. Because a swine literally eats anything.
It drinks anything. It will eat its own children. As you see today, offering up the Moloch, right? But a sheep will not. And a good shepherd will properly domesticate his animal. Because he knows if he properly domesticated, he will have more use for the animal. He will be able to produce more children from that animal in righteousness. So it's the same thing with us, is that the problem is we're a wild beast when y'all's trying to spiritually domesticate us.
Mm.
So there's a reason that we're eating so much defiled food in America, because that's exactly what wild beasts do. They eat anything without no care, don't read no ingredients, don't care how it look, don't care who done touched it. As long as they can eat, they'll eat it.
As long as it tastes good.
So long as it's got a little seasoning on it. When you really look at the nature of Israel today, we are as wild beasts. So let's keep going. Verse 3 again.
Psalms 103. Know ye that Yahweh, he is Elohim. It is he that have made us and not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates.
Into his what?
Gates.
With what?
With thanksgiving.
So you're supposed to enter into his walk with thanksgiving. You're supposed to enter into this walk with peace. You're supposed to enter into this walk with happiness, knowing that you have spiritually returned home. Anytime you're making it a grievous thing where you feel miserable in this walk, is because you have truly not came into this walk with thanksgiving. And you have not actually seen the benefits of Yah yet. And a lot of the time, because you're walking backwards and not walking forward. You're walking with a slouched back rather than walking upright and actually being able to see the glory of Yah.
But if we're honest, we're really judging our expectations of Yah through the lens of what the world gets. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
So we judge Yah based on what the world gets to have or what the world gets, and we believe he should give us that. And not understanding that the things that he gives us are really higher than the world.
Facts.
Because his ways are higher.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have an appetite for the world, he's never really ever going to be able to satisfy your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And this is why we have to actually renew our minds by the washing of the word, right? If we don't renew our minds, then there's no way we'll ever really consider what Yah gives us as something that's more a higher standard.
Right.
What you gonna say?
I was gonna say that.
Just make sure you speak up.
Yeah. When you come into this walk, you can't have that microwave generation of things that the world has. The world, I think some of the problem that our people have when we come to this walk is we see how the world prospers and benefits quickly. And sometimes it takes sometimes it can take years for you to get processed correctly.
Oh, it takes years.
Right, or a lifetime before the Most High can, have his will, whatever your purpose was. So I think when we see the other nations, put it in the microwave and 10 seconds later they got what they wanted. We see that and then we get, dang, man, it seems like it's just better over there. He got this, he got that, and he don't even serve y'all.
Yeah.
So,
I think the microwave part is very true in our expectations, but the heathens, principles are principles, right? Principles are principles. Like the heathens use the same principles.
Yeah.
Of applying themselves, understanding that you can't skip steps.
Yeah.
You gotta, there's a methodology to success. That's just there. But our problem is that we don't understand that it's not what we do, is how we do it.
Yeah.
See, the world can do it a certain way and they're not held accountable. Right. You see what I'm saying? Like the world can go and get whatever they want by lying, cheating, stealing, right? But certain principles in place to where y'all say, no, you got to obtain this in righteousness, right? We may have to obtain something by being honest. The world can lie about something. They could lie on an application. They could do whatever. They could finesse. But we are at a different standard because y'all's looking at us how we go about getting it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it is. It's just that our standard is higher than everybody else's. And so lots of times we don't get the things that we want because we're thinking that we can finesse the process. Where y'all say you got to obtain it through my righteousness, not your own. You're not going to be able to finesse or to skip steps, or as he would say, right? Come as a robber or a thief. You got to go through the straight gate. You got to go through his righteousness to obtain it. And his righteousness may mean it takes more time, but at the end of it, it's like the benefits are there because you're doing it via his character, not the character of the world. Right. So those principles are just principles.
Okay. Let's go to Jeremiah 50. So now let's deal with when that protection of thorns is removed. We're gonna go to Jeremiah 50. We're gonna start at verse 1 or verse 2, actually.
What?
We're gonna start at verse 2.
Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal, not say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
Come on.
In those days and in that time, saith Yahweh, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping.
So now, what is this talking about? What land is this talking about?
Israel.
The land that's going to be desolate. What is it talking about? Right? So it tells you that this is be a place that not even man and beast, they both going to depart from this land, right? Come on, let's keep going.
And the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek Yahweh the Elohim. They shall ask the way to Zion.
They shall what?
Ask the way to Zion. With their faces thitherward, saying, come, and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten.
Come on.
My people have been lost sheep.
They have been what?
Lost sheep.
Right. So once these other places, it said Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is also broken to pieces. These are the places that we are scattered to, right? Once these places are destroyed, what are we going to start doing? Trying to come back to Yah again. Making the covenant with Yah again. Let's keep going.
My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Who caused them to go astray?
Their shepherds.
Come on.
They have turned them away on the mountain. They have gone from mountain to hill.
So to go from mountain to hill, right? What's bigger, a mountain or a hill? Right. So meaning they have went downward. They have caused them to not only scatter, but they have caused them to go lower versus coming to a higher mountain, a higher calling. Because he says, set up a standard. It's a standard that's being set and published and concealed it not. So this is what's going to be what will govern really the whole entire world in its entirety. So he said, my people have been lost. The shepherd, because remember, he said there's only one shepherd.
And those are the kings of Israel.
Right.
By the way. Those are the ones, the kings and the leaders and the prophets.
So when they're going back to John 10, he said it was hirelings. He's talking about them. It will be hirelings that will scatter my people. So when it's talking about these shepherds, it's the kings, right? The princes of Israel that caused the sheep to be scattered and go downhill towards the other nations. Come on.
They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
They forgot what?
Their resting place.
Come on.
All that found them have devoured them.
So once they left that hedge of thorns, once they left that hedge of protection and started going downhill, they started to become devoured. You see that? Once they left that resting place and wanted to see, what is that down there? Let's go check it out. Remember that story you was telling me about the sons who went downhill and they was in the midst of the wilderness? They couldn't come back up the hill? Yeah. Same way. We left to go see what was going on, to go follow people that was not God's, because we did not know the master's voice. And lo and behold, as soon as we got down there, we were devoured. We were taken. Come on.
Them and their adversary said, we found not, because they have sinned against Yahweh.
They did what?
They sinned against Yahweh.
Uh-huh.
The habitation of justice, even the Yahweh, the hope of their fathers.
So
oh my God.
All that found them have devoured them. Who came in the western shores of Africa, the eastern shores of Africa? Huh? And devoured us. Who was those beautiful people over there? The Hamites said, those are the Hebrews. Huh? Came and took us captive, devoured us. And their adversary said, we offended not. They sinned. It's not
game now.
It's fair game. They have left their protection. The ark is no longer with them. See that? They are no longer with the shepherd.
Let's get him.
It's game time.
Yeah.
So let's go to Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28, we'll start verse 20. I know this is a little long, y'all. I said it's a lot. It's a lot more I could have covered. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 20.
Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Zidon.
Against who?
Zidon.
Come on.
And prophesy against it.
Uh-huh.
And say, thus saith Yahweh or Yahweh, Elohim, behold, I am against thee, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of thee.
Uh-huh.
And they shall know that I am the Yahweh when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be sanctified in her.
Uh-huh.
For I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets, pestilence and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword, upon her on every side, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
So what does that mean? Just like this, when we knew once enemies was able to cross into our territory, that we were no longer with a king, and there was no longer a shepherd that was there to guard the door. Just like when it came to a tent, who would be sitting at the door of a tent? The father, right?
No.
The father would. It's the same thing when it came to the land of Israel or the temple. We knew that Yah was always in the midst of Israel, in the holies of holies. We knew once his spirit left, that place no longer was a sanctified and glorified place, and enemies could come in. Anytime the enemies were able to move in and cross the borders and execute, we knew that Yah was no longer there. And that's the same thing we see. Because you see, it's talking about within her. Pestilence within her. What's up, Bob?
I was gonna say, like, even with the tabernacle,
I'm even further away. Nobody gonna be able to hear me.
I was gonna say, even with the tabernacle, when we see Yah gave the decree to have the men of Israel set about the tabernacle, the Levitical priest was the last line to protect anybody that would come inside.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, exactly. Let's keep going. Verse 24.
And there shall be no more a pricking briar unto the house of Israel.
Oh, come on.
Nor any grieving thorn of all that are round about them.
So now who is the grieving thorn that he's comparing them to?
The king,
the nation.
The heathens, yes.
They're called a grieving thorn. And you were as a thorn in my side. You see that? So remember I said there's a duality to the thorn. It can protect or it can be against you. Huh? It can create an expansion of providing a space of safety, or it can be a sign of desolation or lack of life.
And it could be when we think of being surrounded by all these nations that are against us, it's almost just like you use that the picture with the shepherd actually building that hedge of thorns to keep the sheep safe.
Yeah.
But when you think about us also being contained, if that was meant to be our prison, and there was actually lack, there was no pasture, and we were never free to graze, but we are constantly surrounded by this hedge of thorns, and that's just like the nation surrounding us.
Yep. Yep.
We're in a hedge of thorns right now, economically.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's very relevant.
Verse 25.
Thus saith the Yahweh Elohim, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered.
Oh, come on.
And shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen. Then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob. And they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses and plant vineyards. Yeah, they shall dwell with confidence.
They should dwell what?
Confidence.
Can we say that the black community today has confidence?
No.
Can we say that the number one mental illness within the black community is anxiety and depression? Which the root of that is fear and lack of faith? Absolutely. Which shows you when people sitting there talking about we're in the Americas is the homeland, the land of promise. How? When we're having fear and doubt of our life. Huh? How? When this is 87% of the soil is depleted, not able to even produce life. How? When it barely gets any sunlight like that over here. How? When you just look at the structure, what's going on. This is because when you look at a wilderness, there's many different elements to a wilderness. It could snow in the wilderness. It could be tornadoes in the wilderness, hurricanes in the wilderness. Huh? Obviously, wild beasts and creatures that can attack you in the wilderness. And the only thing that you really have to rely on, the only thing that will keep them away, especially when you're in darkness, is the light. If you ever been if you go to Arizona and you go out there, they'll tell you they're big on keeping lights lit out there because it keeps away the creatures. So the only way to keep any type of predators away is the light has to be in the midst of you. Let's go to Hosea chapter 10. Y'all want me to start right here? Y'all ain't getting sleepy, y'all. We're going to start at verse 1. That's what I'm talking about, King. Hosea chapter 10, verse 1.
Israel is an empty vine.
Is it what?
An empty vine.
Uh-huh.
He bringeth forth fruit unto himself according to the multitude of his fruit. He have increased the altars.
Hold on. So this is an empty vine, but yet it's yielding fruit. How can it be an empty vine yet yielding fruit?
Given the natural things, but not the righteous things.
Mm-hmm. So it could be bearing fruit, but the fruit could be useless. Remember, we talked about you can start like a tree. You actually yield fruit in the first and second year, but you actually cannot eat it. It'll be useless to you and actually be toxic. So technically, it will be considered empty because it's not of use. The only way you can become a useful vessel is a vessel that's what? Filled. Come on.
He have increased the altars according to the goodness of his land. They have made goodly images. Their heart is divided now. Shall they be found faulty? He shall break down their altars. He shall spoil their images. For now they shall say, we have no king, because we fear not the Yahweh. What then should a king do to us? They have spoken words, swearing falsely and making a covenant. Thus judgment springeth up as hemlock in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Samaria shall fear because of the calves of Bethaven. For the people thereof shall mourn over it, and the priests thereof that rejoiced on it, for the glory thereof, because it is departed from it.
Come on.
It shall be also carried unto Assyria for a present. To King Jareb, Ephraim shall receive shame, and Israel shall be ashamed of his own counsel.
Of his own what?
Counsel.
Come on.
As for Samaria, her king is cut off as the foam upon the water.
Come on.
The high places also of Avon, the sin of Israel, shall be destroyed.
Come on.
The thorn and the thistle shall come up on their altars.
And what does that mean? What does it mean for the thorns and thistles to come upon their altars? Because remember, the altar was a place of what?
Worship and sacrifice.
Worship and sacrifice. And we can only worship and we should only worship and sacrifice in what?
Spirit and truth.
Spirit and truth. And that means, who is spirit and truth? Who's the spirit of prophecy? And he is the what? The way, the truth, and the life. He also came in the volume of the what? Which means when it says that the thorns and thistles came upon the altar, what it's ultimately saying is that the word was choked out of Israel.
Mm.
The word was choked out of Israel.
And the relationship.
Mm-hmm. So when Yeshua brings the parable about the word being choked out, there was seeds that was sprinkled on ground that had thorns and thistles, and the thorns choked the word out. That was representation of people who got the word, but because they had the cares of this life, the word was choked out of there. Because remember, you are supposed to be that altar. You are supposed to be that temple. You are supposed to be that sacrifice to Yah. So when the word departs from you, it's because the thorns and thistles of this life have choked the word out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
And they shall say to the mountain, cover us, and to the hills fall on us.
Come on.
O Israel, thou hast sinned. From the days of Gibeah, there they stood the battle in Gibeah against the children of iniquity, did not overtake them.
Come on.
It is my desire that I should chastise them, and the people shall be gathered against them when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows.
Come on.
And Ephraim is an heifer that is taught and loveth to tread out the corn.
Come on.
But I passed over upon her fair neck. I will make Ephraim to ride Judah. I will make Ephraim to ride. Judah shall plow, and Jacob shall break his clods.
Come on.
Sow to yourselves in righteousness.
So what he's saying is, even in your iniquity, I'm going to use you to break up the fallow ground. I'm going to use you to actually plow and till the ground. It said, and Jacob shall break up clods, meaning break up the clay, break up the dirt, break up the rocks. He said, sow to yourself in righteousness and reap mercy. So how do we sow to ourselves in righteousness? What should we be sowing? The word. He said, sow to yourself, meaning you're supposed to sow within yourself his word. And what you shall reap for sowing the word within you is mercy. See, that's what he's not looking for, Yaakov. He's not looking for Zekiah, Tamar, Yamin, or Mikael. He's looking for his word within that soil so that he can actually produce mercy upon that land so he can reproduce more and more. Because the reality is, and this is what I learned even more in agriculture, when the land is not producing, you know what they do? If it's not producing, they will actually take a fire and burn the land. They will actually burn the land. Burn the land because it's not producing. And that actual fire is supposed to clear the infirmities of that land away. And then they till it for the asphalt to reproduce more oxygen into that soil so it can actually have life in it. Because if it's not producing, that means there is no life. So how can Israel be an empty vine that produces fruit? Because the thing that it is producing bears no life in it. It's only bearing unrighteousness. And because the word was choked out of Israel, there's no possible way it's going to reap anything that has life in it. Only that which is unrighteous and blemished. Keep going.
Break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Yahweh till he come and rain righteousness upon you.
Oh,
You have plowed and wicked, you have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity.
so if you see yourself going through the same routine, having the same problem, like we talked about Wednesday, you find your past continuing to come to test you, is trying to see if you got over that. And a lot of it because we have plowed so much wickedness, we haven't actually uprooted sin within us. We have not pruned the sin from us. Therefore, we're not realizing trying to put soil over, as we say, bury it, that sometimes that sin is growing back, and we haven't realized we got to uproot the whole entire thing.
Right. And then really saying repent. When we go back to verse 12, he's saying, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy. In other words, you want Yah to change your situation, then sow in righteousness. Then you'll reap mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then he says, you have plowed wickedness, you have reaped iniquity.
Mm-hmm.
You have eaten the fruit of lies.
Yeah.
Because thou didst trust in thy way. Our ways are lies. You know what I mean? So why are you tripping that you sow lies, you beget lies?
Right. Okay.
Because thou didst trust in thy way in the multitude of thy mighty men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Therefore shall a tumult arise among thy people, and all thy fortresses shall be spoiled, as in Shalman spoiled Beth-arbel. In the day of battle, the mother was dashed in pieces upon her children. So shall Bethel do unto you because of your great wickedness. In mourning shall the king of Israel utterly be cut off.
Okay.
We really think that's Jezebel and King Ahab.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now let's break down Samech and Sin. Samech uses Samech, Mem, and Ket, while Sin uses obviously Samech and it uses Nun. Samech meaning thorn, protect, or pierce, right? Remember, we went over this many times: water, blood, spirit, or chaos. And you have Ket, which means wall, divider outside. Then we have Sin. Obviously, we went over Samech, but Nun meaning what? Son, heir, seed, descendant. When you actually put these definitions together, the revelation I've received is this: by his spirit shall the flock of his people be protected and set apart. So when you come in, when you allow that Samech of that protection, and you're on the right side of that protection to be what it's supposed to be to you, not only does it divide or set you apart from the world of your enemies, but you have by his spirit of protection. Just like, remember that thorn bush that had the burning fire on it when Moses came. You also, with his spirit burning in you, shall be protected. Hallelujah. So let's go to Exodus chapter 23. We almost done, y'all. We're going to start at verse 20. Exodus chapter 20,
Behold,
verse 20.
I sent an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared.
All right, so this angel, he said he sends him before us, right? To keep you. What does keep mean? What's the Hebrew word for keep? Anybody remember? Guard or shamar. So not only is he sending him to guide you in the way or the path, but he's there to also protect you and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Mashiach said what? I go to what? Prepare a place for you. Come on.
Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression. For my name is in him.
Was what?
My name is in him.
Come on.
But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then will I be an enemy unto thine enemies.
Come on.
And an adversary unto thy adversary.
Come on.
For my angel shall go before thee and bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off.
So you see that? When this angel is guiding you into the land, he will simultaneously remove all your enemies as a shepherd does for his flock or his sheep.
And he will take you, he actually will make you face your adversaries.
Yeah. He will be able to bring you before them.
Mhm.
That's why you go to Psalm 23. What? I prepare a table for me in the midst of my enemies.
Mhm.
You see that? Prepare a table for me in the midst of my enemies. Meaning this, no matter who's around you, no matter who's close to you, so long as you within the realm or hedge of that protection, nobody can touch you. What door he closes, can no man open. And what door he opens, can no man close. Therefore, so long as you within the realm and the rights of his word, you are protected. Hallelujah. So we're going to skip all, I usually do the words, like the words that start with Samech, but for time's sake, we're going to skip over it. So now let's go to the whole revelation of Samech. Let's start at Exodus 16. Exodus 16.
Mhm. One.
Yep.
And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came on to the wilderness of Sin.
The wilderness of what?
Sin.
Now remember I said, keep in mind the wilderness of the people. Now, nothing happens by coincidence. When you actually go into the time frame of where they're at in the wilderness and where even Elim, they're still somewhat at the borders of Egypt. So Elim actually means palms, or it can mean also another name for palm trees. So as they're going from one place of palm trees, and they're moving and taking their journey into the wilderness of Sin. The wilderness of Sin, when you actually go into that word Sin, remember it means what? Thorns. Mm-hmm. So they're going into the wilderness of thorns, or the wilderness of protection, or the wilderness of trial.
Depends on your mindset.
Depending on your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see that was the biggest issue when Israel in the wilderness was their what? Mindset. Perspective is everything. Perspective of everything. So they went from palm to the wilderness, which the word for wilderness is midbar. Root word being bar or dubar.
Yeah, I think you got to make it clear that this is not sin as in transgression.
No, it's not sin. If you actually go into the word, it is sin. Mm-hmm. It is Samech, Yod, and Nun. So let's break that down. Samech meaning what? To protect, thorn, or it can mean to pierce. Yod meaning hand or to guide. Nun meaning the seed. Mm-hmm. So based upon the mindset of the people, that thorn can be used to protect by Yah's hand, the seed, or it can be as an offense and hurt the seed by his hand.
Right. If you're a goat, you go see it as something to pierce you.
Yeah.
If you have the mind of a sheep, you go see it as protection.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's all in your mindset how you perceive what the wilderness was meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep going.
The wilderness of Sin, or Shin, which is between Elam and Sinai.
So Sinai is actually Sinin.
Mm-hmm.
Sin is actually the root word of Sinin. So when he said they came into the mountain of Sinin, it's saying they came to the mountain of thorns. They came to the mountains of trial, or they came to the mountains of protection. So even when he said, when you come to this mount, you shall not cross this border. It was not just simply because he didn't want them around. It's because the reality is they didn't have even the right mindset to come up on the mountain. And only who can go up to that mountain? Moses. He was able to enter into that protection.
What did he bring down?
And what did he bring down with him? The commandments. So if for you to be able to enter onto this mountain, I have to bring the word, the password down for you to pass upon this mountain. You can only get through the door by who? Yeshua, which is he is the door and he is the what? The word. You gotta have the access word to get in. So I said, remember, I said you could either be on one side of the fence or the other. Israel, even within the wilderness, because the wilderness is a trial place. Remember, the wilderness of the people. It's the place of proving. So they still had to actually be in the place of proving like us. And the word had to come down to see if they were able to be proven to come in.
The what? The land flowing milk and honey.
The land of milk and honey. So when they were in the wilderness of the people being tried and refined, while in the midst of that hedge of thorns or the hedge of protection, they still wanted to be he-goats and she-goats and go outside the protection. Even in the midst of having Yah in the midst of them, they still wanted to go outside of the borders of protection in the wilderness of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, the thorn and thistles choked that word out. Once they went outside the bounds of their consciousness, really, because they obviously didn't go back to Egypt, but Egypt never left their minds. Therefore, because they could not be washed by the word and be cleared and allow the word to seep in and sow seeds of righteousness in them, they were uprooted and not allowed to go into the land.
I think it kind of goes back to Matthew when it talks about.
Speak up, Bob.
It kind of goes back to Matthew where it talks about the seeds falling on stony ground.
Yes, sir.
Going back to our fathers going through the wilderness, their hearts were stony. That's why the word or the seed couldn't penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
They had a stony heart.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't able to basically ingest the word of God to come into their heart and change them.
Right. Okay. That's exactly right. Let's go to Ezekiel 20. Ezekiel 20. We're going to start at verse 33. Ezekiel chapter 20, going to start at verse 33.
As I live, saith the Yahweh, Elohim, surely with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people, and gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
So when they were pulled out, they were obviously in the wilderness of the what?
People.
The people. The wilderness of Sin, or wilderness of Sin, is the wilderness of the people, because the people, the nations, are there to try you. Remember, he said, because you want to follow them, I will use them to try you.
Mm-hmm.
So can we look at this as captivity? Yeah. Is it the same captivity from what? Less than 200 years ago? Chattel slavery? No. It is more of a place of being tried and refined. And some of us will stay here and be as he-goats or she-goats, and there will be some of us that gather. So when we're here, we should start to look at our everyday if this is a place of trial and refinement. So when you see a person that you don't like, guess what? They're used to try you. When you see a person that has offended you, they're there to try you and see, will you take the same method that Yeshua did? When you have an opportunity for business that will cause you to compromise, it is there to try your heart. When you see your family invite you over for some food, but it's just holidays, and you know you shouldn't be fellowshipping with them, that is there to try. Are you going to allow your belly to become your God, or are you going to let Elohim be your God? These are all methods of trying you and proving you to see if you are Yah's or not. Because the children of Shaitan do compromise. The children of Shaitan do not have any morals. The children of Shaitan don't have no law to follow, and they have become a law to themselves. They make their own rules, and they have no rules. That is the rule. So when we move outside of the bounds of the rule, we move outside. And this just goes to show, even for brothers who just want to protect every woman, how when they don't follow, some don't follow instructions. It's the instructions that yield the protection. It is the instructions that yield the protection.
Brothers be chasing like the whole little compounds of thorns trying to chase the woman and move with them.
It is the instruction that yields the protection. It's the same vice versa for us men when it comes to Yah. It is following the instruction that yields your protection. even from your own house. Period. So if we're not moving within that, then the people of that wilderness will devour us. He will allow the beast, the wild beast, to consume us. Because he didn't move, we moved. He didn't take a step back, we took a step back. And we don't put that one foot outside, got that cold weather while the other foot in the tabernacle warm. And we confused. We're confused. We are lukewarm. And it usually be that one leg that just get you caught. Don't have no foundation about us. Let's keep going.
And I'll bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Just let y'all know that plead don't mean like he's gonna be on his knees begging.
No.
That means he's gonna be punishing us. That actually plead means shafat, and that means to judge or pronounce sentence. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith Yahweh Elohim. And I will cause you to pass under the rod and bring you into the bond of the covenant.
And what if America actually was that wilderness of the people? Where we finally get to meet Yah face to face and actually learn of him through his word. And as he pleaded with us in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. Because remember, they weren't all the way out of Egypt yet. They were out of the bondage, the slave bondage, but they weren't actually all the way out of Egypt. Just like us. Our ancestors was literally in bondage in America. But we're at the borders where we don't have the chains anymore. Where we're just going through this exile. We're going through this process of persecution and chastisement of these people.
Being in, but not of. Not being allowed to be all the way in.
Yeah. The same exact thing. And y'all in this time. And I'm not saying this just physically won't happen. I'm just putting it in perspective that even now he is pleading, he's chastising us. He's refining us through our jobs. Some he's refining through relationships. Some he's refining through friendships and businesses. Some of y'all he's refining in your home or your place of residency. These are all places of being tested. These are all places of seeing when you keep his word even in your lowest estate. But you're looking at it as it like your woe is me. Not know, all right, this is a challenge. Okay, I'm getting tested now. I got it. What does Yah's word say? What does his word say? What will his word tell me to do in this situation? But that only comes to his sheep is know his voice. So we're going to say know his word. Because if you know his word, you should be able to recite scripture in those situations. And let's just be honest. When we go beyond his word and we get angry, we know that's us. That's just us. It's just y'all using that situation to show who you really are. That's it. He trying to show you, hey, you thought you had it out you. I done found the right trigger to show you it ain't out you yet. It's not that you in trouble. He just trying to show you that you can't hide. And he will use the foolish things.
So that thorn pricked you in your heart.
He will use the foolish things to confound the righteous. Stop looking at your situation and thing like, woe is me, I'm just going through things. He's trying to show you that wickedness still in you, brother, sister. That thing that you think is just because you have separated yourself from the world physically, the world is still in you mentally. Just like it was for your ancestors in the wilderness of sin or the wilderness of the people. He will use the people to try you and prick you to see, will you yield to me or will you yield to your old ways? In Egypt, we had leeks and chicken, and we had the best of the breads. Our bones was fat. You just came out of a whole bondage. Oh, America is the land of the promise. No, America is that land of promise. We're indigenous, aboriginals here. I get it. We were probably the first people here, but this to be honest, this does not fit the description of Jerusalem. It was just nothing but a temporary dwelling place. That's it. But the reality is, if this was our home, then the evidence of that would show. It would. So, verse 38. Verse 38.
Oh, my bad. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me, I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
So when you see people coming and going, y'all really just show you that those are the rebels. When they try to say, oh, the Bible is this and the Bible is that, as if when you were reading the Bible, you didn't find deliverance. As if when you were reading the Bible, your life was not better. Mm-hmm. You weren't getting in the same trouble. But all of a sudden, you stumbled upon some New Age doctrine, some New Age way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the Bible is evil. This
mean old God.
Mean old God is dealing with sacrifice, as if every culture in the world sacrificed or never sacrificed. That's how you know Yah's giving you keys on how to identify the hireling, how to identify the rebel, how to identify the robber. So that's why you are as a sheep. Yes, you are still held responsible too, because you should only be looking for the voice of the master and not the image of who you think the master looked like. Let's be honest. And I understand this. We can't get caught up on the black culture, the black code, because he looks like you. The reality is there are people who look like us that put us in chains too. It's a fact. So should we be judging by flesh or should we be judging by spirit? People can talk good as ever, but if they're not speaking Yah's word, none of that good talk matter. They just philosophize. Mm-hmm. That's it. Verse 39.
As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, go ye serve ye every one his idols, and hereafter, if you will not hearken unto me, but pollute ye my holy name, pollute ye my holy name no more with your gifts and with your idols.
Oh, wait. So through your gift that he's giving, you should no longer pollute his name, because his gift was made, the gift in you was made for who? So if you sing, if you dance, if you're good at making food or making clothes, whatever your gift is, it should always be for the glorifying of Yah, not yourself. Mm-hmm. All of it. That's why we see this in the music industry. It's used to glorify sin. It's used to glorify death and danger. It's used to glorify adultery. It's used to glorify women being what? What's the word for it? Extorted, really. Hypersexualized. And they use a frequency beat to catch you. Let's be honest, you move more by the beats than the words. But because you so moved, you're able to remember the words. But you can't remember the 10 Commandments. You can't remember how to keep the Shabbat. You can't even remember the name of your God. Yeah. You still just saying God.
He's saying don't go give your Christmas gifts in my name.
Right. Right.
You talking about that baby ain't have no Christmas toy. Ain't this Christ's birthday? Ain't this Jesus' birthday?
Right.
Right.
So y'all got the rest, but we're gonna end it with Revelation 20:21. I'm gonna go to Nehemiah, but I think for the most part, y'all got the revelations of it. We're gonna end it with this. Because remember, I said there's two sides to it, right? We're gonna talk about that porter. Come on. So we'll start verse 1.
What chapter is it?
21. Revelation 21.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away.
Hold on real quick, Chief. Y'all just get kicked off my own stream.
No, you on there.
Am I?
I think so. Yeah, you don't know. I see him moving.
Oh, all right, there we go. Oh, that's right on time.
Oh, yeah.
Revelation 21.
Okay. 21:1.
Yep.
Okay. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yehochanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim, out of the heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Start right there. I want to read this other book, right? So one of the things they call, and this is so powerful, one of the things they call the gates of Jerusalem is the sheep gate.
I think that's an easy.
Yeah. They call the gates of Jerusalem the sheep gate. So what it means, it says a gate of Jerusalem mentioned in Nehemiah chapter 3. It was probably near the northeast corner of the wall as Nehemiah built it, which is why I was going to go to actually Nehemiah chapter 9. Y'all can read that, verses 6 to 30. It says about 1/4 mile inward from the present northeast corner of the wall. So they actually call even Jerusalem gate. Outside of shepherds calling the sheepfold for the actual sheep, they call it Jerusalem, the children of Israel's actual gate, the sheep gate. Now watch this. Come on.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
So within this hedge of protection, this hedge of thorns, there should be no more sorrows.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
All tears, and wipe away all tears away from their eyes. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain.
So now they're on the other side of those thorns. Mm-hmm. Those thorns no longer cause pain. They no longer cause terror or fear or anxiety. Come on.
For the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I will make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Aleph and I am Tau, and the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely.
So remember, anytime we see thorns and thistles, it's in desolate land. It's in a wilderness. So in this land, this will be a land that has the fountain of life that flows freely. Just as the what? The Garden of Eden. Remember, once Adam and Eve was removed, the ground that they would have to walk on would be a hard ground that they would have to till from the sweat of their brows. And that ground would actually yield thorn thistles. But because before, when they was in the Garden of Eden, they had 4 rivers flowing with it that would constantly produce and yield from those trees. And they would have nice vegetation. Outside of the Garden of Eden was death. Outside of the Garden of Eden was dryness and desolation. Outside of the Garden of Eden was a lack thereof of food, like berries. Yes, berries can be a good thing, but that when you have that and you have thorns, that's a sign of dryness. That's why thorns and thistles can only survive in acidic ground. They can't survive in true oxygenated alkaline soil. They can only thrive in dry soil. Ooh. And I'm learning that through our own grapevine. I can't water that as much as the other plants. I only water that once a week, which means it don't need much water. But we know the land of milk and honey was flowing with what? Water. Come on.
Verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son.
Mm-hmm.
But the fearful and unbelieving.
Hold on, let's go through this. The fearful and unbelieving. Come on.
The abominable. And murderers. And whoremongers. And the sorcerers. And idolaters. And all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone,
Mm.
which is the second death.
So all those who fit this category will partake in a desolate, dry, and vicious cycle or lake or land, however you want to put it. They will be in an environment that is literally toxic. Come on.
And there came unto me one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife.
Watch this.
He carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain.
Now remember, we said the mountains represent what? Kingdoms. So he took him to a great and high kingdom. And watch what he had on there. Come on.
And showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, sending out of heaven from Elohim.
Come on.
Having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal.
Now remember, it said Jerusalem is a city set on what? A hill. So this hill had pertained, or this city had pertained the light of Yah, that all nations can remember. When you go lower, that's where all nations reside. But higher is Yah's kingdom. So when the nations looked up, they saw holy Jerusalem. They saw the light of Yah dwelling in that city. They saw life, because remember, the light is the life of what? Men. Ooh, come on. Let's keep going.
And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates.
Hold on. So this wall it was a wall that was great and high, and this wall had 12 gates. So we're gonna say 12 doors. Come on.
At the gates, 12 angels.
So at this door was an angel. Come on.
Door.
At each door.
And
so this is the porter. Come on.
And names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Now y'all know here at Kamaku, we believe those gates represent what? Is it a physical gate, or what does those gates represent? The 12 tribes of Israel. So remember, as Mashiach was that door and gate, so shall Israel also be that door and gate. And he said, I've given angels charge over you. That porter has charge over protecting that door. Ooh, y'all not
understand. This is actually structured just like the tabernacle, where the tribes were.
Yes.
Around the tabernacle.
Y'all not getting it. As Mashiach is to us, when we are in alignment and become echad with Mashiach, we become as Mashiach to the world. We are those intercessors. And remember, it said the nation shall cleave unto us. Did not Israel cleave unto Yeshua? Because remember, we are a kingdom of what? Priests. And in that priesthood, there's only how many high priests? One. But there are many priests, though. And he said, I should give you saviors. I should give you Moshe King. When you go into the Torah, the only person that you will actually see called Mashiach was Aaron. Literally, he was the only one you will see actually called or was that intercessor for Israel. Well, I'm just trying to show y'all. Am I saying we are the Mashiach? I'm not. But we play a form of Mashiach to all nations. We will be considered the Moshe King. He is that Mashiach. So as he is to us, we are supposed to be to the world and the nations. So when we're going out here spewing hate and saying we're going to put people in chattel captivity, that's not what he's doing. He is trying to refine the people, not put people in this bondage that we think in our mind. Our ways are not his ways. So when we're looking at these gates, it's the nations being able to pass. They have to come through Israel, as Israel has to come through Mashiach to get to the kingdom.
That's it. You'll lay hold on them who are the Jews.
It's just like that order.
Speak up.
It's just like the order, like what was it, 1 Corinthians, where it says it was the father, then Mashiach, then the husband, and the wife, and the children. You can look at it as the father, Mashiach, Israel, then the Gentiles.
Yes, sir.
So it's a hierarchy.
Yes, sir. Come on.
13. On the east, there were 3 gates. On the north, there was 3 gates. On the south, 3 gates, and on the west, 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me.
Hold on. So keep this in mind. This wall had 12 gates. Those gates being the children of Israel.
Mhm.
The gates in the wall stood on 12 foundations, which are the what? The apostles, which means the chief cornerstone, oh my gosh, of that foundation has to be who?
Mashiach.
It all goes back to Mashiach. It all goes back. His word must be the chief cornerstone of that foundation, for that foundation to even be able to hold or be a place of rest for them gates in that wall. Also, so shall that man be.
And the foundation of the apostles was the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
They were commissioned to actually go out into all nations teaching the gospel.
Yep.
So that's what we're actually, which is the Brit Hadashah, or the new covenant.
Yeah.
So the new covenant is the apostles are the foundations of the new covenant. And the 12 tribes are built on that foundation of the new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be an Israelite, but if you're not established on the apostles, which is the new covenant, then you're not in the truth.
There it is. Call it plain.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it is. Let's keep going. Verse 15. We can speed this up a little bit.
And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth, and the measure. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. And the length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man that is of the angel.
Ooh-wee. Come on.
And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, Yalodocious, right? And the 11th a jacinth, and the 12th an amethyst.
Mm-hmm.
And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold.
So remember, that's why you shouldn't cast your pearls to swine.
That's true.
Because the pearl was representative of Yah's glory.
Mm-hmm.
It was representative of the beautification of his kingdom. And to give your pearls, think about it like this, to give your pearls to swine is to actually put a chip in Yah's kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Put a dent or a blemish in Yah's kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever seen like some jewelry when that one little piece missing, it don't look right no more. That whole little piece throw off the whole jewelry or the watch. It looked like, and from that point you went from looking rich to looking real poor. Off that one piece. Come on.
And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. That's pure gold. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple.
Now remember, the temple is what? The hedge. It is the protection. It is the border. So what did he say? If the people, the 12 apostles of the foundation, and the gates are the children of Israel, and they obviously have to be that wall and foundation. It is within the people, the saints, that you find protection, because Yah is in the midst of the what? The saints. This is the great mystery of Samech. You could be on one side of protection, you could be on the other side of desolation. You could be on one side of abundance, or you could be on the other side of nothing but death and dryness. So yeah, let's keep going.
And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
Mm.
And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it.
Remember, I said there was a reason that some of the Gentiles or some of the heathens were still in the land. They could have been benefactors if Israel actually did it correctly. They could have been benefactors of Yah's glory if they were able to convert them versus them being converted to their way.
And if you just really look at this whole Jerusalem, it represents Israel, what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
A whole nation of priests and prophets. And the light that came out of that shines out of this people or this city or the city in the temple is the truth that Israel's supposed to emanate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And won't need the sun. They won't need the sun to shine from it because the light the truth will be the thing that lights the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the nations of them which are saved. So how many people said Gentiles can't be saved?
Mm-hmm.
And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor to
it.
And the gates of it, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, shall not shut at all by the day, for there shall no night be there.
No
night there.
What does that represent, Yaakov? When the gates are always open, what day was that mainly? There we go. So when I say that when the Shabbat is an inkling of the kingdom, this is what I meant. Because when the gates are open, that means all can constantly come in and share the fruit of that kingdom. It was only open consistently. It was open throughout the week, but it was stayed open the whole day during the Shabbat. The Shabbat is a day of rest. When we become one with Yah and his word, we have what you call eternal rest. And Yah shall be in the midst of them. And they shall be his people, and he shall be their God.
Israel's gonna be the government of the world. Period.
We can start right there. That's it. So to the family on the live, I hope y'all enjoyed that. If y'all got any questions or anything, please make sure that y'all email us. Again, if y'all are interested in doing tabernacles with us, we are located in Georgia. Please email us with how many people you'll be coming with. And we will see y'all. For those who join the Wednesday night call, we will see y'all this Wednesday. With that, we say shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom.